the whole idea on the enterprise version of Zoom. They have an extra feature that allows an API, an application program interface of YouTube to allow into it. And I see now with the logo, I see it available. Okay, we got everything going, recording YouTube. Okay, so everybody welcome. I'm glad that you are joining me. We have on Monday, we have an in-person exam. And what I wanted to do, as I told Catherine, is kind of give an overview. I've given already a study guide to you. I'll answer any of your questions. I'll let you know what I think are ways to approach this. I've had some other people come and a little bit of high anxiety, which I attribute to just never having an exam with me. Once you have it, we have just one other exam coming up, and I think the second exam is much better because it will be in the exact same format. You got it, Ava, so I think sometimes you're not quite sure. You may not understand exactly what I am saying and how I'm doing that. Okay? Any comments before I begin? Ryan, how are you doing? So let's hit it, as we say. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. And you see that I share my screen. And what do I want to do? I want to go to my Chrome. And what do I see here? That I know that I have my caption on. And I see our lovely participants today. Okay, so let me go to our content. We are in our regular section. We have two sections. So let me open up another section of Blackboard. So I have my other section of courses that I have, and you see it looks like I'm really teaching quite a bit. And I have another section called Audit, BTE210-K, and then I have assignment groups, right? So what did we say on our assignment groups? Everybody should be able to do this now. Are on the dynamic of voice assignment group. Everybody should do then on the front end. I think I told that last time, but you can still do it now, is what chapter you were assigned. So here is Ava Hunt. So you did two, Ava?
Yeah,
Ava
I
Hunt?
did too because I didn't know that for a group of 3 that we only had to.
Okay, so good. You got it out of the way. Did it take that much more time?
No, it was
Ava?
like the same.
Yeah, same. So it's good. This way you got to study more. So basically, Ava, she had a group of 3. She did 2. She took the initiative. Very good, Ava. We've taken into account chapter 4 and TG2. And then Camila took TG1 and Ellie took chapter 5. And then everyone else should have this done. I saw a number of groups. Why get points taken off that I saw on this group didn't even do it. Well, that definitely is going to be points off. Okay, so let's and then in the assignment groups, right? So in this group, in group 3, then if I go into dynamic voice assignment, you see that, Lily? That and then here's Caitlin. Put your names in the front. You see that, Lily? Just like the other one, put your names right there on your folder there, which ones that you did. Just like Ava's group did. Right there. Okay, that was just a point of contention that I just wanted to let you know. Okay, let's go to what's due. And under what's due, I'm going to turn off my edit mode. I am the instructor here. Your role in this section is student, so I want to make sure my edit mode is off so I see the same thing more or less than you do. And you saw that on Monday, before class, the audit assignment was due. Exam 1 is on Monday. It is in person, is in the School of Business in room 204. The review guide, you should look at it. It's in PowerPoint and documentation. So if I go to PowerPoint and documents, I see review guide. And in the review guide, let me open it up. And under review guide, this is the whole kit and caboodle. We have in this exam, we have 2 exams. We have an exam on March 3rd. We also have it in the end of April as well. But in this exam, we have Chapter 1, TG1, TG2, Chapter 5, and Chapter 4. Exam 1 will take place in the School of Business on the 2nd floor in the PC lab. If you don't know where that is, I suggest before the exam you go and find out where it is, that you are not roaming around trying to find it. The advantage for our section is that we'll start and there's no one that comes after us, so we'll be a little bit able, those, especially those that have special accommodations, will have time where no one else will be disturbing them. Okay. The exam, so you need to come on time. I would suggest you come 10 minutes. I suggest you need to come 10 minutes early. You need to be, the exam will be in person. It will be proctored by a teaching assistant and myself. The exam is closed book, closed notes, closed AI software. Up to now, Ava, all our assignments, all our quizzes that I gave you were all open book, open notes, open AI. You could lose anything you wanted on the internet to answer the questions. When you're going to be taking the exam, Ava, you're going to be concentrating. It's just going to be what you know in your exam. The exam will take the entire period. Some of you, if you finish early, you can check out. We will be checking you out with a pictured ID. You need to bring a cane card or a government ID. So in terms of security, Greta, what is this? And the terms that we know, why are we doing the pictured ID? For what purpose?
Because everyone has a unique ID number, therefore, like the test or something like can't be replicated, like the student can't be replicated.
Okay, but why pictured ID? For what purpose?
So that you can be identified.
And what's another word for identify?
Like accounted for the exam.
And what else? Will, do you have an idea? What did we use? What term did we use? In information systems, as soon as someone needs, if you're going into the system and the system is protecting, what do they need to check? What's another word for finding out your identity? That's what Greta said. You pick up another word, Will?
I'm thinking right now.
Good.
Come back.
That I hear the bells. I hear something moving, the gears. What do you think, Riley? What do we say? As soon as you get into Blackboard, what are they doing? The first thing. Can you just get into Blackboard?
Dual mobile.
And what is it checking for? But what do you have to first put in? It has to do what? Dual mobile is one, but what is it? What do you need to do? Can you
Your
just
login.
You log in, and what is that called? What is it trying to do?
To make sure you're not hacked.
Well, yeah, but what's it called? Quinn, what's it called?
Is it authentication?
Exactly. Everybody, you knew that, Greta, right? Just forgot. It's called authentication. Authenticating who you say you are, right? So how can I do it? Instead of doing this, I want you physically to bring a pictured ID. And how is the authentication going to work then, Quinn?
You're just gonna look and make sure we are who we
Right.
say
Now
we
we
are.
could have done it with what? Face recognition, right? That as I'm taking a picture of you in front of me, right? It will then go to the database and say, hey, is that really Quinn that's in the database? Right? That's how really authentication, right? They even do authentication with what? With biometrics, right? Basically check your retina. Now, in the new, were you there when we had the chief security officer come to the class?
Yeah, it was.
We're getting, is Duo Mobile going to continue with us?
No, we're going to
We're
something
going
new.
to another one, Microsoft. And what did they say they're going to do? Do you remember?
Uh,
He said basically they're going to authenticate you with looking at your face. And what did I say? I said, I don't want them to, and they're going to check it. I said, I don't want to do authentication, the bio, on that. So they said they can give me a token and, like an old fashioned way to do a token. So this is it. So you understand that, Greta? So basically that pictured ID of comparison is really a way of authentication. That whole idea, what you were saying of identity, that's the case. Now, you remember we talked about business continuity? Colin, do you remember ever hearing that term, business continuity?
I think so.
Good. That didn't sound too good, but right? Didn't sound with a lot of confidence. But what would it be? If I think about it, let me just cancel this. I don't want this. See what I'm typing here, Colin? What am I typing? Can
What
you
was
read it?
that? Oh, backup and recovery.
And what else? Can you read this?
Yeah, business continuity, backup and recovery.
Recovery. What does that mean? And who cares? Finley, what do you think? And if you don't
I'm
know it, what
sorry.
should you be doing now? Right, Lily? What should you be doing? If you don't know what business, have you never heard of the word business continuity and backup and recovery? Okay. So what do you think, Quinn? What does that mean to you? Business continuity.
Isn't
What does that mean?
isn't it like the ability to kind of, if you like are disrupted or something, like the ability to kind of get back on track?
Yes. Are we always, can we expect that everything will run smoothly? Quinn,
No.
there's always going to be hiccups, right? I can expect something like, even in some ways, I can expect some things to happen that are predictable, like a hurricane. Have you been ever in a hurricane, Quinn? You ever
Yeah, I
faced a
have.
hurricane?
Yeah.
Basically, the advantage of a hurricane is they usually can tell us in advance, a few days in advance. It looks like it's coming. Sometimes it misses us, but we can be prepared, right? Our earthquake, have you ever been in an earthquake?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I've been in an earthquake, and one of the things in an earthquake, the problem is they don't tell you in advance. All of a sudden you feel the earth shake, the windows rattle, things coming off the shelves. You can't predict it. But anything that it is businesses have to continue working, whether they have anything as well, and they have to think about, they have to back up their materials and recover from that. Whether they've been hacked, right, Quinn? all of a sudden somebody did, stopped our servers and they say, hey, we want ransom. We have to plan for that, and being hacked is what? It's not usually now people are on the notion it's not if it'll happen, it's usually when, they basically say, I'm really vulnerable here, even with all those security programs. It seems like, in my opinion, Quinn, AI is helping all those hackers, right? If they want to break in a password where they would have to take hours, the hacking can be done in 5 minutes. They can go through all the combinations or something. So business continuity means that how am I going to continue my business running if I have disruption? That was a great idea, Quinn. I appreciate your way. So when I say, Quinn, bring a picture ID, that's a way to authenticate that you are who you are. And everyone needs to bring their laptop with responded software installed. And the reason for that then, Max, is what? Why do you have to bring your laptop if you're going to be taking the test on the university's computers in the lab? Why do I want everyone to bring their laptop? Max. Max,
Bring our laptops.
yeah, for what reason? You're going to be taking it in the lab. Why in the world would I ask you to carry your laptop?
Not sure, maybe just in case the computer doesn't work.
Exactly. And do you think just in case the computers don't work in the lab, which is highly unlikely, in my experience using the lab, there are usually some computers that are not working, even though they check them, right? Can you imagine? Of course they could. So for backup, business continuity and recovery, it wouldn't be in the way that you come to the class and I say, you know what? I don't have a computer for you, Max. Sorry, but you get a 0 because you don't have a computer to do it. This way, out of your backpack, you take your laptop and you say, well, I have it and I have respondents involved, and we'll do it as a backup source and continuity. All right? We got it, Lily? And you can study any way you want. Catherine, you can decide you can use Notebook LM. That's why I wanted also you to have done it by Monday, Finley, because this way you know exactly, you can put in all your materials. You can even put all this material in. You have all the chapter PowerPoints, might as well put in a lot more material to help you do it, but you decide. The exam, let me go over it again with you. Max, you will be doing it on the computer, Max. You will have 2 parts to the exam. One part will be multiple choice like the quizzes, and the other part will be open-ended. There'll be up to 3 questions that I will ask you for open-ended. You have to do one part, and before you take that one part, guess what you need to do then, Ava? You need to get out your phone and put in your Duo Mobile to get into the exam. You take that exam, it's multiple choice. It'll be about 60 questions. You can go up and down. You don't have to go, you can skip around. You can go backwards and check your work again, which I suggest you do. But once you submit, you cannot go back. You got it? Once you submit, then it is closed, that exam. Just like the quizzes, Finley, remember some of the quizzes you were able to take it twice. This multiple choice quiz, you only can take it one time, and it has to be done at one sitting. And then you have open-ended questions. You'll then take out your phone again. You'll get permission to take out your phone again. Otherwise, your phone will be collected or it will be stored away, and you'll be able to take your phone and open the open-ended questions. You'll get up to 2 or 3 questions. You will be able to see all the questions at once, and you will decide whether you want what question to do. You will finish it, and then you will submit. You have a choice which one you would try to do first. At one time, I told people take the multiple choice and then the open-ended, but some people said, you know, I'd rather do the open-ended versus the multiple choice. Your people take tests in different ways. You have a choice. And these are the concepts that will be on the multiple choice. This first part is about hardware. So we're talking about the hardware characteristics, the characteristics of hardware, that they're in the trend is to get faster. The trend is to be cheaper. The trend is to be miniaturized. You need to know about what is the CPU, what are the characteristics, what's input and output, primary and secondary storage. What is RAM, ALU, all of this, what is RAM versus what is ROM. So you need to know what RAM is, what does it stand for, and what is ROM. So in this case, Catherine, what does RAM stand for? Catherine Bremer. And if you don't know, right? Finley, what do you do? Lily, what do you do? When I'm asking Catherine, you should be doing what if you don't know what it stands for? Lily, what should you be doing?
It says random access memory.
Random access memory. And what is ROM stand for? What is ROM stand? Calais, what does ROM stand for?
I'm looking it up.
Okay. We need to be looking it up now, not later. Max, what does ROM stand for? ROM. Just because you got called on once doesn't mean that it's time to do something else. Everybody should be looking this up, right? What does ROM stand for?
It's read-only memory.
Read-only memory. And then it becomes, what is it? What's the difference between the two, and who cares? Right? So, in memory, if I have this PDF here, right? This PDF, and I also have this notepad. When I open up this notepad, it was stored in my secondary storage. And when I open it up, applications, when I'm executing programs, it is placed in RAM rather than secondary storage. A lot of times RAM is also called primary storage. So when I'm reading my PowerPoint to you, when I'm reading my PDF to you, when I'm reading my notepad to you, that is in where? Calais? RAM.
That's all gonna be in the
Random
RAM.
access memory. That is fast. The reason it's from there rather than secondary storage is it's very quick. And usually what I want to do is the more RAM I have on my computer or on my phone, the more applications I can run, the quicker they go. When I talk about random access memory, if I just shut this down the notepad and don't save it, what happens to this content? Calais. Do you hear my question?
This since it's not like permanent memory.
Right. It's not permanent. It will go away. Perfect. So we say that RAM, put it in your notes here, is volatile. That it will lose its contents if it is not saved to secondary storage. Now, as part of memory, there's another part of memory called read-only memory. It's smaller than random access memory, but what's stored there, what is stored in ROM is by the manufacturer. And it's a way almost a little bit like you think about the operating system. It's a way in which to start up the computer, start up my phone, which gives instructions to the system. What's in ROM? Riley, can it be deleted? This is a question. In ROM, first of all, it's non-volatile. So that means it remains. And in ROM, it's read only, means that the user cannot delete. And a lot of times the end user doesn't even realize what was in ROM. But RAM, they realize, because whenever I open up a program, think about opening up a program. Opening up a program means that it's taking a copy from the
750.
secondary storage and putting it into the primary storage. Is there a question? Okay. So you have here, this is on the hardware, this is on the software, right? The data versus information, trends, info, real time. We want to make quicker decisions, security. Remember, we talked about exposures, threats, vulnerability, social engineering. These are all on security, that chapter. This is data governance. Remember, we talked about data governance. These are all the controls, physical communication, access, administrative, the data hierarchy, how it works, the keys, need to know controls, least privilege, big data characteristics, the data warehouse versus the data mart, non-volatile versus volatile storage, transactions, processing systems, and encryptions. So in that case, Riley, how would I study for the multiple choice? How I think you could study for the multiple choice is first go over the quizzes that you took. So you had one quiz that you took that you could do multiple times, you can do twice. You remember that, Ellie? Did you tell those what you did? The question I asked for the class is, can you review those again? You were able to do it twice, and after you were able to do it twice, you weren't able to take it again. So can you see the questions from the multiple choice? Ellie? Did anybody try looking at the multiple choice questions again?
Sorry, I was in the bathroom. What was the question?
Okay. Okay, what was the question, Ellie?
If we're able to still see the quizzes after we've like used both of the attempts.
Right. So what do you think, Ellie?
Sorry, I'm trying to look now, but it's not loading for some reason.
Okay. So let's have somebody
I,
else.
I think you can see your last attempts.
How?
You
Try it. Everybody try to see. Do you understand what I'm trying to do, Quinn? Everybody to do is to look at your quizzes and see the content. You see that, Calais? Did you do it? Can you see your content?
Let me look.
Right.
It's letting me see mine.
Colin, can you see yours? I want everybody to find it, not just look at me. Actually do it. Jordan, can you see yours?
I'm looking right now.
Right. Ryan, did you look at yours?
Yeah, they let it work. Let it work.
It got work? You got to see
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
You can see the content?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ryan, congratulations. Share your screen then. And show everybody how to do it.
Okay.
See why this is important, Riley? That you want to be able to review it.
Do you see my screen?
I see it, but I see you attempted it. But where is the? I see you viewed the tell. I want to see the contents.
Yeah, you press
What?
on the calculated grade,
Okay.
and then it lets you go and look at
Okay, that's great. How'd you get to that one? Perfect. And then you see what you even got wrong, right?
Yeah.
And then let's even look at that. So it's basically, let's look at question 1. Okay, it's an approach to managing information across an entire organization. So we got to figure out then, you can even put it in, and you put, in this case, master data management. Is that your selected answer? So we know that that isn't. So the question is, basically you have is an approach, right, to do it. Okay, and then go down further. Did you get anything else wrong?
I think I got one more wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at this one. Okay, is used to plan and control business intelligent activities. So your selected was it's a plan. So you put what? B? It's a plan, right? To and control business intelligent activities, so you'll be able to look at that. So you can review those exams. What's another? I think you can go, right? So how did you get there? How did you find it?
I just went to the
Quizzes.
section and then just like clicked on whatever quiz you click.
Yeah, begin,
And view
view all
attempts.
attempts, and then clicked it on the calculated score. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So you already have questions that you go through, and then you can find out about the question. You can search it and not only just get the correct answer, but try to understand what is the meaning of it. Because just Ryan, it's not going to work out well if they'll either be the same kind of questions, but there may be different wording. So you don't want to just memorize, oh, it was C, right? 2, they'll be randomized, and 3, maybe you want to read it carefully. You know how sometimes there are questions not or putting true, so you want to be able to read through it and figure it out. So when we're asking about that, Riley, one of the first things I would do is I would go through those quizzes, and then you can even copy those questions, right, Ryan? And then you could take them into other programs, try to figure out what is actually happening there. So that's one. The other thing, thank you, Ryan, for sharing that with everybody, which is good. The other thing is, once I have the multiple choice questions, another thing that I'll be able to do is go to my PowerPoints and documents, and I would then download those documents. You could also put those documents, right? You could even put them all into Notebook LM, but I would go through that and try for explanations. The other way I would go into Wiley Reading and Adaptive. And what was that on data, knowledge, and management? So let's say here in the database approach, Just picking one. Instead, let me just do this. What really works out, instead of going into this, what works out better, do this too, is go to the Wiley Plus course resources rather than going into the individual chapters. Sometimes Wiley has issues. If I go to Wiley Plus course resources, and now let me go to chapter 5. And now what I want to do, let me even just do the database approach. Let's see if I can see it. And now I can have the database approach where it's talking about the file management environment, and then I need to know what a data file is. So it says here, Riley, a data file is a collection of logically related records. And basically, that means, have you ever used a spreadsheet? Of course you did, right, Riley? Am I correct?
Yeah.
So in that case, is you can think about a data file as like a sheet in a way. And and I could even have my sheet, I could have like a grade book sheet, and my grade book were logically related records. So each record or each row in a data file is like each of my students. How are you logically related? You're all in my class. That's how it's logically created over time. And basically, the example here is in a university, what they have is what they call a central database. And in a central database, what they want to do is they want to place my data together where it will minimize the following problems. Data redundancy. So in Max, what does data redundancy mean? In a database management term, what is data? And everybody think about it. What does data redundancy mean?
It's when the same data is stored in multiple places.
And why do I want to reduce that? Give me an
It doesn't need
example.
to be.
Give me an example of data redundancy. Of you. Your data, right, is in a university database. So what could possibly be redundant? What could the registrar have? The School of Business, the health center.
Like my address.
Your address, right? Why have it many times in multiple locations being stored? You want a database management system to minimize that. Because then why? Because if you change your address and you have your data, your address 30 different, or let's say 50 different times in the university, what happens when you change your address, Max? You would have to update it 50, somebody would have to update it 50 different times. Do you know where it's stored 50 times? No. Do you want to know where it's stored? No. All you want to do is submit it to someone and say, hey, this is my new address. So we want to minimize that same data stored multiple locations, because if it had to be typed each time, possibly could be a mistake, plus it could take up room, plus it's wasted time. Data isolation, what minimizes is that we want all applications to gain access. So if your address was only being shared with the registrar, other parts of the university would not be able to have your address. For instance, the health center, or it could be the library, or it could be the School of Business, or it could be the department you're in. What department are you in studying, Max? What's your major? Accounting, right? they want to say, hey, we want to send you internships, so they want to have your address. Data inconsistency, we want to minimize. Why do we want to minimize it? It sounds right, Max, right? Because what does data inconsistency mean? In one place, it has you living at 1205, and another place it says you live on 1105. We want the data to agree. In one place in the School of Business, it says you have a 4.0 average, and then in the accounting department, it says that you have a 3.8 average. You want it to be consistent. We want to minimize it. In a database management system, since we're reducing the data and we're putting more of the data in one location, what happens to data security, Max? It's going to be more vulnerable because it's in one place. This way, the hackers can only get one place. This way, if by accident somebody deletes it, we risk losing a lot of data at one time. Therefore, we want to maximize more data security when it's in a database management. Data integrity, we want to maximize in the way that we want to be able to rely on it, right? That I want to be relying on that data integrity, that I can rely when it says Max has a 4.0 average, that we know that we can rely on. It has integrity. And data independence means that the applications and the data are independent. It means that if they get a new registrar applications program, that they don't, the data, and they get new, they don't have to re-put the data in again. The data is separate from the application. You got it? So there's ways in which to minimize data. There's ways in which to maximize that data. You with me, Max?
Yes.
Perfect. So then they have the data hierarchy, and the data hierarchy goes from the smallest amount of data is basically on and off switches, is zeros and ones, but something that we can understand is called a byte. It's just a character. So if I look at Max, it has 3 characters. MAX. A field is basically, you know, a spreadsheet, Max, right? You're in accounting. A field is like a column. So if I had a student grade book, right? The first field could be like the C number. The second field could be last name. The third field could be first name, right? Then it could be test 1, test 2. And a record, you know, a spreadsheet, Max, a record really is like a row.
Yeah.
A row in the record.
Yeah.
So each student in my grade book is a record. Right? Finley's a record, Lily's a record, Quinn's a record. So these make up then university databases. So this is what you can think about. And then in this case, in these two, when you read through this, this also has check your understanding. So it would be, in this case, be with me, Max, you're on a roll. What does a database represent in context of a data hierarchy? A database is the large part, right? That we talked about.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be I can even, so what I want you to do in the test is, even if you don't know the exact answers, is eliminate what is really silly, right? What you know is not the right one. A single character wouldn't be, right? A database is more than a record. I know that. So is it a logical group of characters or a logical grouping of related files? What do you think, Max? Luckily, we're not taking the test now. So even if you're wrong, it's not a big deal. But what does a database represent? So I'm saying it's either B or D. What do you think? Are you there, Max?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good.
Um,
You need help? You want to do a shout out for somebody?
uh,
What do you
yeah.
think, Lily? B or D? A database.
I think it's D.
I think it's D. Because think about it, Max, it's not a logical grouping of characters, it's bigger. A logical grouping of characters could be then what? A field, right? It's going to be larger, so it's a logical group of related fields. Let me submit it. And it's correct. And then understand why it is. But I got that, so you can see that I can do that. The other part, once you go through all of these, you see that? So you need to know about, right, risk analysis management. And so you know, in this case, Max, is all of this risk analysis management, we're talking about what? Information security. We're talking about information that we want to protect. And we know that if I have information, you know that I'm going to be vulnerable. Anything digital, I'm going to be vulnerable for. So what is there? There's going to be some risk. And this is where accounting people take over. They call it basically auditing. Of what they're going to be doing is they're going to be auditing the risk of somebody being able to penetrate my data, how to manage it, and what does mitigation mean, Max? If I say I want to
Reducing
mitigate
the
what?
severity.
Well, I want to
Reducing the
mitigate what?
severity.
I want to reduce it, right? Do I want to,
Yeah.
I want to always reduce my risk. Can I eliminate it completely, Max? Of course not. Right? You go out tonight, right? And let's say, hey, I want to enjoy myself, right? It was enough of that, Dr. Rush. She gave me a headache. She called on me the whole night. I need to basically take a couple of, get some air and enjoy myself. So they're basically, you know, there's going to be a risk. And if you take a car, you have a car where you basically, if you have a
Yeah, I have a
friend
car.
who drives you, right, to South Beach, what is it? There's a risk that, you know, they're crazy guys out there, you know, but I'm going to take that risk. And what do you want to do? You want to mitigate it, right? I want to be able to at least go with somebody that's not drinking. And I want to mitigate it by putting on seatbelts. And I want to mitigate that the guy that's driving isn't driving like a maniac. Right? And then maybe it'll be good mitigate. Let's take a car that works well. And let's maybe even take, have you ever had those cars where it can tell you, you know, stop when it's basically do preventative measures. So these are areas in which you just need to go. And then what do we have is this is the first part of the exam, right? Multiple choice. And the second part are open-ended questions. I'm giving you, Max, these open-ended questions and you can figure it out. Some of these you can basically figure out. And some of these are about improving digital security from when we had explaining these, and also from the textbook, from the lectures, from the guest lectures. This number 2 is talking about when we're talking about local recording, cloud recording. Remember, we did YouTube live streaming, remote. This one is, remember, we had the exercise on Zoom, the cloud-based recorder, the screen recorder that's safe to your computer, examples and how you would choose between these. The fourth one is talking about fields, records, and tables. In designing a university, which fields are essential. Number 5, look at 5, define data governance. So I need to know what data governance is. Explain, and this is kind of like the idea of what auditing is, right? Accounting. Somebody has to take control of what data we're going to be collecting. Somebody has to take control, right, Max, of whether the data is correct. Somebody has to take control of when do we update. Somebody has to take control of what fields we're actually going to collect. And then I want you to explain how this could possibly be used in a university setting. And have you heard of authentication, Max?
Yes.
And authorization. Which one always is performed first? Illustrate the importance of how something is least privilege, authentication, and authorization. And here 6 is compare and contrast risk management and risk analysis, just like we talked about. Give examples in a university setting. And 7, did you do the notebook LM, Max?
Yes.
So basically talk about that, recommend any fine tuning features, explore the potential benefits for businesses outside educational use. Do you see, Riley, how I kind of show you? So one of the questions talks about least privilege. Did you see that? Kayla, did you see least privilege? What's least privilege? So what I need is everybody, right, Ellie, to figure out what does least privilege mean? There's a question there. And do you know what least privilege is? And how does it relate to us? Did we ever review least privilege in this class? So what do you think, Jordan? So the first thing we have to do is figure out what least privilege means in IT and in data and in security. So who found it? Raise your hand if you found it. Levi, did you find least privilege? You have an idea what that means?
Least privileged?
Mm-hmm. That's what we've been talking about.
Yeah. So I was looking, but I would just assume not privileged. I mean,
But it's not. What does that mean even? That ain't gonna get too many points on your exam. Right, Levi? Not privileged. It's not privileged. It says as least. So who can help me? What do you got, Finley? Least privilege. So let's look at that example. If I went to that, let me share. If I went to that example, what does it say? Define data governance. Explain how it should be implemented in university setting. Differentiate between authentication and authorization. To illustrate its importance, provide specific examples of how least privilege, authentication, and authorization were applied in class. So I think a lot of people understand authentication and authorization, but what does least privilege mean? How is it applied in class? What the heck does it mean, right? You see this now, Levi? It's number 5. Max, you want me to call on you or somebody else? Give you a choice.
For least privilege,
Yeah. What do you think it is?
it limits access to the, it's a security practice that limits access to the minimum required to perform a task.
Read that again. Excellent. Excellent. What you read. Read it again. Max, read it again.
Hold on, sorry. A security practice that limits access to the minimum required to perform a task.
That requires minimum required to perform a task. So what does that mean in our class? We have 2 sections in our class, right? Really? 2 instances. What are they? We have a regular class where your role is what and what is my role? Max. That's a beautiful example. That's a great definition. Now we got to apply it to what we're doing. So we have 2 sections, right? We have a regular section, right? Where you get into Zoom, right?
Yeah.
What role are you there?
Student,
Student, right? What role am I?
teacher,
It's instructor. They call it instructor.
Instructor.
The role. We're just kind of, but it's the same idea. So read back that security again. That privilege.
security practice that limits access to the minimum required to perform a task.
Yeah, your task is different in that class than mine, right?
Yeah,
So my least privilege, am I going to have a larger role? Am I going to be able to do more activities than you are?
yeah,
Yeah, right? Yes, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to give grades?
yes,
Can I change your grades?
yeah,
Yes. Can you look at your grades?
yes,
Can you change your grades?
no,
No. That's kind of like what accountants do too, right? Is they look for controls, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to give, right, that I can look at in the payroll program we have at the university, I can look at how much they pay me. Do you think in least privilege they're allowing me to change my salary? I think I am so underrated. I think I deserve 10 times what they're giving me, right? What I'm earning, right?
Right.
And you're the CFO of the university, and you say, "Are you crazy, Dr. Rushing?" I'm giving you the least privilege to do your work, but I'm going to give you the least privilege, but you'll have more actions to be able to do to be able to change grades. Now, given that in the least privilege, can I see your other grades in your other classes, Max?
no,
No. Because what? It's the least privilege. Sometimes I use the words for everybody, Greta, need to know. You remember I used those terms? That's really least privilege. I have no business, Max, seeing your other grades in other classes. Maybe I'm curious to see, I want to see his 4.0. I want to see how he's done in other classes. But I have the least privilege to see yours, right? But in that case, you have least privilege. You have basically, you can see all your grades in all your classes, right? We're there. Now,
Yeah.
we have another section, right? What's our other section that we have? What did we call that? Audit. Almost for you, Max. And you remember accounting audit, that you in that section, everybody is listed there besides me. I'm instructor still. What is everybody listed there as? What role?
Really teaching assistant, something like
Teaching
that.
assistant. How can you tell? You can go into the audit area, go under in the bottom under users, right? And you can see everybody in the class is listed as teaching except me as instructor. I want you to be able to audit each other. I want you to be able to upload. I want you, in this case, Max, if you made a mistake, to delete something that you uploaded. I want you to be able to look at everyone else's material and give them feedback. I want you to be able, hey, I wasn't sure how to do that assignment, that you can look at that. So I'm giving you least privilege as being a teaching assistant so you can able to do those tasks. It makes so much sense, and that's why I'm discussing this with you, because you're my accounting major. You understand? That's what you guys stress, those controls in all organizations. There's a risk, and what are we going to do? We're going to minimize, we're going to mitigate those risks, and we're always going to do an analysis, right? Cost benefit. I have PowerPoints in my Blackboard. I think we should, what is the risk? What is going to be the effect of somebody stealing my PowerPoints, Max? Very little. What do I care?
Yeah.
What do you care? So we should spend the least amount of controls and money, in my opinion, protecting those PowerPoints. But if I have credit cards of all of us on file, you best believe we should be spending money to protect that asset. Anybody been in the health center here? Those are valuable for us, that also the university can get basically fine for basically sharing health information. They can be out of business if they're negligent. Same thing with the credit cards, right? And you'll see that, basically what you can do, go to the dark web and you can find maybe a lot of our data, our passwords or things like that, right? That guy from the security, Mauricio, was telling us all the horror stories that he's scared of. Does that make sense? So those are the areas in which you can think about it. I use the word need to know, but really in terms of security, that's your role, Max, to be auditing all these people and say, everybody shouldn't get full access and it should be least privilege in order to do their job. My job is to teach, to instruct, and my job is to give you grades whether I want to or not. I have to assess your work, right, Max? In order to that, you have to give me access to your grades. And you have to, in order to do well in this class and to do it, you have the right to see your own grades. And if that's your least privilege. And you have to have rights in order and where you can submit your work, right? Or to take your quizzes. It makes sense?
Yeah.
So Riley, what you need to do then is, that's a part, do two parts. Look at the multiple choice. You know what types of topics they are. You already know examples from the multiple choice questions. Ryan showed us how to look at the questions, right, Ryan? So you can look at those. You can look at the adaptive questions. You can look at the questions, you can put them into, right, Finley, into Notebook LM. Get a podcast, get a summaries, get whatever. You can even add in Notebook LM in the middle, you can even ask questions that you're not sure about. I'm not sure about that least privilege. Give me an example, right? And let's use what we did. Do you understand? That's the great thing. Might as well, rather than it just sit there and Notebook LM, let's use it. And the open-ended questions, Max, is what? You know what they're going to be.
Yeah.
The only difference is that then on the test, it'll be closed. They'll have to come from your mind.
Yeah.
A big asking. And then we can move on, Max, and do some. I don't want to spend a lot of. That's why when people are saying, I don't want to spend a lot of time, people say, oh, I'm scared, I'm this, I'm that. Let's focus and that's it, and move on. But we can do already on after the exam, we can already. You remember I talked about, you guys remember 1-800-CHAT-GPT? Who remembers that? We talked about it. Quinn, do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
What is it? What is 1-800-CHAT-GPT?
It's like you just call the
Call
number.
what number?
1-800-CHAT-GPT.
Okay, and you can put it in a mobile phone, and even you can put in the letters, right? The area code you put in digits, and the ChatGPT, all mobile phones then will convert even those letters to my keypad with the number. And what do? I'm able, instead of just getting it as in text, I can call a number, and I can even go call I don't even need to have a smartphone. I can call it and talk to it with ChatGPT. What I want to do, Max, is after the exam on Wednesday, is go to a program called V for Voice API.ai, and let's create then our own chatbot and create our own phone number. You got that, Quinn? So let's say we'll try to get a vanity number, maybe, I don't know. Let's say run Gen AI Fin or something, They'll give us a free number. We can create a chat bot They have kind of chatbots. We can say whether we want male or female, what kind of voice they have. Put in some documents. And then each of us have our own chatbot, our own phone number. And then we'll use it for our projects. You understand that, Max? So then if we go accounting or finance or something like that, we're
Yep.
consultants, they can call us. And instead of you, Max, having to answer the call, let your chatbot, you'll fill it in, let somebody talk to them. And then later on, if they want to make an appointment with you, they can make an appointment. I want to see
Yep.
Max, the head Gen AI accountant. How does that sound? And I want to be able to use it. So we'll
Sounds
be able,
good.
doesn't that sound? So I want to get the exam out of the way and then spend time on things like that. That we have it in, and then we'll see where's the state of the art. And it keeps on moving so quickly. You know, when we're talking about beta, Greta, right? It's and they keep on improving. So this company will do this. We'll see what are the issues here. But how fabulous is that? That already be talking and we'll be training it. And we'll even have a phone number. Here we have the Notebook LM, we have the others, we have the Zoom. And then we'll have that, and we'll see what the state of the art is. And where I see the humans coming in is basically figuring out what is useful and seeing what are the disadvantages. You know, where is it not working? Where does it not fit in, or seeing how it's adjusted? I just read it up. I just discussed some things with startups, and it used to be an AI. The startups, what did they always want? They wanted a lot of investors and they wanted a lot of money, right? That was kind of like the key. And now these startups, that are doing AI, they're using AI to help in the startup, do the coding, do the market plans. So Max, let's say you were going to be the CEO, or they hired you as a CFO. They say, hey, we don't need even that big of a group now. Because what? Each person, Max, that you hire basically can do 2 or 3 times like one person, because they're using AI to help them. So a lot of these
Yep.
young AI companies say, you know what? We don't need so much money and we don't need so many investors. And why do they say that? I don't want to give up so much of my company. Right? Because when you have all those investors,
Yep.
the problem is you have to give up a lot of money. And if you have all those investors, what's the problem? Is they're going to be over my shoulder telling me what to do. And maybe we can do it quicker and faster with less. So it's kind of like flipping that, all those investors, and some of those investors say, hey, we want in, because we know anything that's kind of, we know of these folks doing AI stuff, they're getting really up there. Then later on, you can see what is working, what is not working, what brings in revenue. So a lot of this thing they're having is, once they give us like that model where they'll limit us in the number of calls we can do, or this company allows us to do 10 phone numbers, you know what I mean? So maybe later on we want to do more of a call. Once it's there, then Max, you can say, okay, now we'll pay for this, right? Because we want it to be more sophisticated and we need more help.
Yeah.
We at least can see what it does and imagine to ourselves. And then you can be a consultant, Max, and say, hey, you want a phone number? You want your own bot? I'll get it for you. And I'll create it. And then you can even do the text, how you want the text, how you want it to speak. Here we are, you know, FinGen AI. How can we help you? Where can we make an appointment? Where can we give you tech advice? Okay.
Oh.
Okay. That's it. I went longer, but I think it helped. Yes, no? Okay, let's
Yeah.
do, come in. Hold on. So let me do share attendance. But I think, in my opinion, humble opinion, I think it was useful. You know what I mean? But I'm not you guys. You know what I mean? For me, I thought it was useful. Attendance. And especially thank you to Max, you were there. Okay, 3686. And Greta, can you be so kind and put it in the chat, 3686?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And once it's there, everybody can, I'll see you Monday. Hopefully everybody will recover. Frank, you want to stay with me or,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, Frank, why don't you stay? We'll see what's going on with you.
My quickly attendance isn't loading.
You're what? Hold
My
on.
attendance isn't loading, so it's not letting me.
Okay. Did you try Chrome?
Yeah, I'm on Chrome right now.
Yeah, let me see.
My computer's just being really slow.
Okay. Riley, did you log in already? You got your attendance, Riley?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know it was
Okay,
on.
so let me just put you in. Hold on a second. Let me go. You see this? Brian? What does
Yeah.
it say?
Records?
Rose? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
So Brian, thanks a lot for sharing.
Yeah.
Did this
yeah, of
help?
course. Yeah. And then I was also wondering for my notebook LM assignment, I did it and I thought I had uploaded it to the audit page, but I was looking today and I don't see it there. And then
So
I
put it again.
deleted, yeah, I deleted the file, so I just redo the whole thing.
Yeah. So did you put
Okay.
it back up? Or you haven't yet?
I was just waiting to ask you because
Yeah, you have to put it back up.
okay,
Yeah,
I'll
see
redo it
tonight.
tonight then. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
That's why you want to check, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
you wanna
did
get
the whole thing and I
What?
guess I don't know what happened. So
I don't know. Stuff happens. But you
Yeah.
know what? Now that you know how to do it, it shouldn't take that
Yeah.
long. It's
Yeah.
just how long they process the podcast, but just as soon as they do the podcast, then join in.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Let me stop recording, okay?